I'm live. Hello, everybody. All right. Now, people are going to join. Whoever is going to join live is going to join live. And for everybody else, welcome to the replay. It's 4:22, and this is a live multiverse history lesson. It's called 422, Pangea's prophecy. And this prophecy is about learning and tuning into Earth's altar for 2024, the year of strength. And that is because if you add up 2024, it equals 8. And 8 in the tarot is strength. Welcome. Welcome, folks who are joining. Yeah, I'm gonna get started. Just so when people watch the replay, it can go smoothly, and we'll just let, people join if and when they join. Yeah, so like I said, this is a multiverse history lesson called Pangea's Prophecy, and it's opening up the numerology of 422. And when we open that up, we find that there is an altar, the Earth's altar for 2024. And so that is an altar that can guide us, give us direction, insight, and really illuminates what the Earth herself, as a living ancestor and elder, is prioritizing for herself this year. So that's really what I've learned by looking at this altar. So let's start. Since this is a masterclass, I like to start all of my classes with some grounding and breathing because we are exchanging energy and ancestral transmissions. So we want to just, be able to ground, to share and receive the transmission. And also, to help us come back to our body, settle the nervous system, all of that. So let's start with some breathing. Wherever you are, just feel free to get as comfortable as is available to you in this moment. Just let out the breath. Let out anything that needs to be released in this moment. We ask our most benevolent and beloved guides, guardians, ancestors, allies, relatives to be with us here during this transmission. Help us release anything and everything we don't need to be carrying right now or for the rest of the day. Just let it go gently, like paper mache falling off your body back into the earth. Whew. Shake anything off that you need to shake off. And as we do this, as you take those breaths, just imagine a cord from your body stretching all the way down through the floor and through the layers of the earth. And it gets right to the core of the earth that is right below you. It's right underneath you in the core of the earth. And this special place holds your true name, whatever that means to you. It holds your true name. And feel into that connection that is anchoring you in your birthright and everything that means. As we take a deep breath out and in, we can feel the spirit of your true name coming up through the earth, through your body, all the way through your body, all the way up through the roof, through the sky, through the layers of sky and space until it gets to your true name in your North Star. So your North Star is right above you, and that star is unique to you, completely unique to you. And that also holds your true name. We are connected. We are lifted. We are inspired by this connection. So feel that connection. You can, as you let it out, feel that energy of your true name coming down through your body and filling your body and reaching all the way down into the earth's core, where your true name in the earth's core lies. So now we feel this connection all the way from that star down to the core of the earth. We are held, we are connected, we are anchored, we are lifted. So you can come back to regular breathing when it makes sense to you. And with that, gratitude to all who are joining and who will join, who are joining sometime in the multiverse in the future. And gratitude to all this benevolent spirits and loved ones who are gathered here today in holy strength in 2024. And give thanks to our protectors and our warrior ancestors and allies and the security team who is protecting our transmission today. So thank you. Please um, keep our connection free and clear and keep out any and all distractions, derailments, etc. Anything out of alignment with this sacred transmission. Thank you. Okay. All right. So with that, for those who don't know me, I'm Shaunga. And recently, I have connected with the language that really resonates most truly about the work that I've been doing in community and in the world for the last several years. And so I've been calling myself a quantum whisperer, a multiverse historian. I fucking love that. And a planetary priestess. Okay, so what does it mean to be a planetary priestess? A lot of things. But one thing that I want to say today is that it's rooted in my career in astrology. So that started with reading people's birth charts more than a decade ago. Um, a few years into that career, my ancestral site blew open. And so that was about 9 to 10 years ago. And what I found is that I don't just intellectually interact with astrology, I actually communicate with these incredible celestial beings as planets and ancestors themselves, because that's who they are. They are living elders. And by the way, what I'm doing here is I'm taking us through a story time that will lead us into looking at the altar. So stay with this Gemini here. So yeah, I regard the planets and the constellations as living elders. Okay. As we know, colonization's purpose is to sever and disconnect us from relationships that are based in respect, dignity, um, and take us away from realizing how to acknowledge the full essence and humanity um, even among like non-human beings. And so I'm saying that because we've been taught to dehumanize all of life, right? In the way that we are taught to dehumanize our own species. I mean, that's what colonization teaches. So I speak with passion, and and you might be able to hear anger, even underneath my voice when I assert that planets and zodiac signs are ancestors themselves. This is where that anger comes from colonization and the genocidal multiversal machine that's behind that. So, a lot of times, spiritual practitioners, astrologers, when we're doing our magical businesses and putting our services out there, we'll have a little disclaimer on our services, right? And we'll say, for entertainment purposes only. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I know that on one level it's about legal protection. It's also about protecting and caring for ourselves as practitioners and also the people who work with us, right? So those disclaimers ensure that everyone is aware of the boundaries around what we will and won't provide in a session. But, I'm thinking about this phrase today because something energetically in that phrase, for entertainment purposes only, it also speaks to a deep legacy of witch hunting that I want to talk about and unfold today. Um, that is part and parcel of colonization and how it functions. And this type of witch hunting has impacted revolutionary, justice oriented, magical, spiritual people, um, especially when you're in in that category and you're also queer, trans, black, indigenous, people of color. The thing is that so many of us came into the world and we were wonder children. We are old souls. And many of us have been around for a really long time, traveling the multiverse. And we're just in love with the universe. That's what I mean by wonder children. We're in love with this planet. We're in love with its medicine, its technologies, its ancestral remedies, its wisdom, its humor, and how fucking weird it is in the best way possible. We came here to be extremely nerdy about what it is that we love, especially people who are in love with the stars, because there's no greater expression of wonder in the universe than the stars. So many of us who carry this sense of wonder, we became artists, healers, writers, dancers, sex workers, even, artists, even if how we express our artistry is in our style of clothing or how we wear our hair or how we cook or what we're like in relationships. And the thing about the wonder child is that they're never going to stop giving. They're never going to stop being who they are. Even though as soon as they entered into the room and a lot of times in early childhood experiences, that wonder was attacked really early on and consistently, that sense of wonder. But no matter how much, things around us or in life tries to cut us down or tear us down, um, or unload judgments and all sorts of things on that sense of wonder, no matter how they try and disconnect us from our magic, that they can't. The magic that comes from our love of the universe and dedication to all of life. Even for a lot of times, we've been that part of us has been really suppressed. It doesn't go away. So when I say that something about for entertainment purposes highlight something about the witch hunt, I mean that wonder children have a very hard time hiding themselves and their magic. We have a hard time hiding how revolutionary it is. And we can put on our spiritual cloaks and our shields, and we can look as human and inconsequential as we can. But as soon as we open our mouths, As soon as we resonate something authentic from our being, even if it's through silence, we get clocked. Oh, speaking of clocks, 422. When we get clocked for who we are, this is linked to the time on the clock that happens to be Earth Day, April 22nd, as well as Esta and Rahel's birthday, April 22nd, 2008. Esta and Esta and Rahel, of course, are my beloved cats who are in the spirit realm right now. Oh, I just got choked up. There you go, when I said their names. Mhm. Okay. So this time on the clock, 422. What 422 contains in terms of numerology is a prophecy that was put into motion millions of years ago while Pangia was still formed. Pangia, of course, is the name of the supercontinent before the continents as we know them broke apart. So I unlocked a huge part of this prophecy a few months ago while I was writing and recording a two-part podcast episode on the Otherworldly Giants podcast. And that ended up getting published on October 3rd. So if you want to listen to that, it's in the description box, the links for that. But here's the thing. So I was set to travel across the continent for an ancestors artist retreat on October 7th. October 7th. We are now officially 2 months. It's January 7th since that day. Now, for me personally, um, that was a huge deal for me to travel on that day because I hadn't traveled anywhere since 2017, really. I had lost a great deal of my physical mobility during the pandemic, and by which I mean my full spiritual pandemic, which ramped up and lasted really between 2017 and up until this year. And calling on the language of the pandemic, we want to acknowledge that the pandemic of COVID is not over, right? COVID's still around, still impacting millions of people, and there's still the need to care for one another and protect each other around that. But point being, part of how this collective and spiritual pandemic affected me is that I lost a lot of my physical mobility in the last few years. So the extent to how much I could move was really limited to a small vicinity around my house, like where I live. So when I say it was a big deal for me to fly across the continent from the northeast to the southwest, because that's what I was traveling on October 7th, is really huge on multiple levels. But something in my spirit, like before I got on that plane, like there was something that I was like, I have to put down something. There's something I have to put down. And there's some kind of portal that I have to close before I travel on that date. Um, and it really, it boiled down to those two podcast episodes that I was writing and recording. I was like, I have to unlock this, I have to release this, I have to publish it, I have to put it down before this trip. And I did. And so what I ended up putting down were these two incredible storytelling podcast episodes where Esta, Rahel, and I traveled to, wait for it, Pangia, to a time and place in multiverse history where genocide doesn't exist. Whether that's before time, underneath time, somewhere inside of time, it didn't exist there. And it was on the land of Pangaea. And we arrived there and it was like, fall to your knees in gratitude. Everything is beautiful and whole and restored. It was basically peace on earth. And what we retrieved there was this 422 prophecy. So if you listen to that episode, it's a two-parter, and the Pangea part doesn't happen until episode 2. But if you listen to it, Esta and Rahel take us through the whole prophecy. So fast forward, it's maybe the end of October of this past year. So I traveled, I came back home, and I was more, understanding more what 422 means for me. And it does have something for me to do with my relationship with community, you know, to what is my new relationship with community that has been in a process of transmutation over the last 15 years, really. Um, and what does it mean for me now to step back into community in a way that I have been disconnected from, to be seen and known for who I am and what I do out in the world? So, anyway, one day I went to the park near where I live, and I did a ritual offering for the land, in spirit of 422. And while I was doing that, it's a really beautiful, nice, spacious park. Um, Somebody was out there walking their dog, and the dog was off leash. And so I had just finished the ritual offering, and so I was walking out of the park ready to leave, and the dog came, like, galloping toward me, like dogs do. And, okay, like, dogs usually love me, and I love dogs. And so it really looked at first like that dog was gonna be friendly and playful, and it was, like, almost up until it got really close to me, but then once it got close to me, something happened in the last second, and suddenly, instead of, like, playful and friendly, he was like, "Bark, bark, bark, bark." And so he was, like, a little bit aggressive, like, he was barking at me in a way that wasn't entirely friendly, and it startled me. I was like, "Okay." And I the dog's person, was like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And I could tell that, she was surprised and, like, a little horrified, because it felt like it seemed to me that this was out of character for this dog to bark at someone like that, and she was surprised that the dog would do that. Okay, so I go home and I'm like, I'm an animal communicator. That's part of what contains in my role as quantum whisperer. That's such a hard word to say, right? Quantum whisperer. But anyway, animal communicator. So I wanted to go back and um understand, yeah, what was happening in that moment with that dog. Why did he bark at me like that? And so I tuned in, and I just kind of went back and looked at it and was listening to what the dog was actually saying to me. And basically when he was barking, he was basically barking at me like this. He was like, "Change, change, change, change." Okay, so here's a little animal communication lesson. What I found with dogs when they bark, like, they just get to the point, okay? Like, cats, on the other hand, will be like, "I smell some intergalactic alchemical transmutation." But dogs will just be like, "Change!" Like, okay, but dogs, they can have you can have some really deep conversations with dogs, but, like, when they bark, they just tell it how it is. They'll be like, "Lies, betrayal, joy, life." They won't take the time to say transformation even. They'll just be like, "Change." Oh, fucking love that dog. But okay, because I was in that energetic state of 422. And the dog felt how old that prophecy is. He felt the future of what that contains. He felt this huge change that the planet has undergone in the breaking apart of Pangea, to now, and the changes that we will undergo in the future. And it destabilized this sweet dog's sense of security in his park. It's his understanding of life. He saw the truth of who I am, and he called me out. Okay? So, October 7th, it's been exactly 2 months since Israel's assault on Gaza has amplified and accelerated, and we know this, right? Um, so there's something that I saw on the internet. That's maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know. There's like one of those billionaires. I don't need to say his name. One of those posted something on Twitter or X or whatever you call it, and did this like psychological gaslighting thing where he referred to the Free Palestine movement as calling for genocide. Now, we've seen that a lot in the propaganda, right? How the opposition and colonial powers try to undermine this freedom movement by saying that, like, if you support a slogan like from the river to the sea, you're supporting genocide. So, this billionaire in this tweet or whatever, he took it one step further and he said, people who are calling for decolonization are calling for genocide, right? And it, like, to say it's gaslighting is, I guess it's kind of true, but it's more than that. It's like, it's such a common psychological tactic in supremacy culture and colonial culture that someone names you as the thing that they are aggressively enacting on you. Like, they call you the problem that they're doing, because you're resisting and defending, or you're just even moving in your sovereignty and your freedom. And that psychological violence is so twisted and it's profound, because they do it in a way that's really hard to argue against it in the moment, even though it's not true. Because, like, energetically, what happens with that kind of psychological attack is that it attacks your relationship between the third eye and the throat. It makes that connection like curl into itself, and you lose the ability to speak your truth in the moment. That happens a lot. Like, that's happened to me in personal relationships, in moments where I'm like, everything you're saying about me is how you're being to me. I don't get it. But in that moment, your clarity is attacked energetically, and your throat chakra can go into freeze. So we're seeing that on a huge collective scale right now, right? But that said, when I look back at what this person is saying about decolonization equals genocide, and my first inclination is to say, well, you don't understand what decolonization is, and that's true. But there is a truth that you are feeling in your soul and in your body. Decolonization is change. It's change that you're resisting. It is death. It's death to systems, cultures, relationships, relationship habits, addictions. And every one of us is going to have a hard time letting go of something in our own way. In the way that dog saw me and he was like, change, right? Like, those indoctrinated in the colonial mindset, they see the Free Palestine movement and they're like, change. Uh-oh. But because the colonial mind does not know how to comprehend the true nature of death, they can only see death through the lens of genocide, through how they are enacting and perpetuating death on the planet. They can't see outside of that. So they see the death that comes along with the freedom movements, and they're like, "Well, you're genocide." That's the only way they can see it. For entertainment purposes only. Let's go back to that one. There are people who came to this planet, this lifetime, as true revolutionaries, magical powerhouses, true earth stewards, here to protect this planet's longevity and its thriving. We are wonder children, and we can't hide that fact from anyone. We walk into a room and they see change. A lot of us grew up to be community mothers. in some way, community space holders, community givers, artists, healers, magical practitioners. But this witch hunting has been so strong that for so long, the only way that we could be out in public is if we hold in secret the true nature of who we are and what our medicine is. Sometimes we have to hold that secret even from ourselves. We say we are for entertainment purposes only. What the witch hunting did is create a culture where so many people are desperately, not only desperately seeking Susan, they are desperately seeking healing, but they don't value healing. They don't trust it. They want it, but they don't remember how to respect where it comes from. But we are wonder children, so we have to give it. And the only way we can stay safe in public is if we say, I'm just entertainment. I mean, one of the only ways. There are several ways maybe that we have coped with this, but one of the ways, certainly that resonates with me, is to say, I'm entertainment only. You don't have to take me seriously. Here's all the medicine that I have to give, but you don't have to supervalue it. It's just frivolous. It's not as important as the real work. Artists have to carry that. Writers have to carry that. Astrologers have to carry that. Many different spiritual or magical practitioners have to carry that. And this creates a huge problem with reciprocity. Because if we're not recognizing or advocating for the truth of who we are and what we have to offer, and if it's not safe for us to do that, or be honest about how much it takes to do what we do every day, how revolutionary it is, then we can't be reciprocated or supported in our right to continue sustaining ourselves. And that's the relationship dynamic that's done now. And that's what I mean by 422 is connected to a different relationship with community between who we are in this realm and how a community around us will interact with us. And I remember few years ago, one of my elders said to me, Shaunga, your stories, they're more than entertainment. At the time I was like, but my stories, I love the fact that they're entertaining, and they are, but they do much more than that too. They create an energy healing for the world that the world desperately needs. That's who I am as a planetary priestess. That's what it means. One of the layers of what it means to me to be a planetary priestess. That every day my energy healing is for this planet. It's shared with this planet. You know, shared freedom, shared ceremony, shared collective liberation that includes everybody. And I do my small part every day that has a giant impact. As an astrologer, a planetary priestess who communicates directly with the planets as my ancestors, I remember that these zodiac signs and these planets are my best friends and my inner circle. They are relationships. But the earth is who I am. The earth is the love of my life. She is the survivor who I talk to every day and ask her what she wants every day for her healing. With all of that, that's contextualization for what I'm sharing with you today, what the earth has shared with me about her requests, her priorities, her requirements for 2024, the year of strength, number 8, infinity. In other words, the altar that is grounded in this 422 prophecy. Okay, now I have little images that I can share with you from my phone about this altar. Let's see, what is this? How does this look? Can you see this? It's kind of backwards, right? I'm sorry. Tech things we're just going to have to figure out. But okay, the first thing she shares is her 4 priorities for 2024. They are restoration, recovery, rooting down, and opening up. And I'm putting it in this way because it's about north-south. So it's on the north and south of the altar. These 4 priorities. Again, those 4 priorities are restoration, recovery, root down, open up. I think I'll create a blog post or something, and so I can post these images. But for now, here they are. Okay, so the earth is saying that she is going to prioritize these things for herself no matter what. She is prioritizing her restoration, her recovery, her rooting down, and her opening up. Rooting down into deeper foundations and opening up to love, joy, sensuality, pleasure. She's opening up to love that she has been praying for generations. And she's going to choose what all of that looks like for her. Now, she doesn't want to do that alone, but she will if she has to. What she wants from us is to commit to these things in our own life and do these priorities with her. So in 2024, can you give priority to the things in your life that need restoration? Can you give attention to whatever magic or skills or memories that need to be retrieved and recovered within you? Can you root down to a deeper foundation? Can you open up to the life that's calling you? And ultimately, it's this north-south axis, right? So this is a homecoming between earth and sky. And this includes a restoration between spirituality and activism, magic and justice. The earth really wants us to understand that when we send our healing to her and when we participate in this kind of healing in our own lives with her, um, she's saying, like, you don't understand how much that helps me de-escalate violence on the whole globe, on my whole body. It helps me de-escalate violence in the immediate moment and also de-escalate some of the severity of climate change that we might otherwise have to face. That's why these priorities are so, so important this year. The more people in this realm who are committed to this, the more success that we have to de-escalate, transform, and rebirth. Okay, so that's like north-south. Let's look at left and right. Here we go. Left and right, we have a primordial love story, a grief story with with happy endings. And this love story, this primordial love story, is about these primordial energies on the planet that we like to say water and fire, grief and rage. And when you uncover what's the true spirit of grief and rage, what it's speaking to me this year and right now is love and advocacy. Okay, so everyone wants to hear this part. There is a big love story coming into fruition this year in 2024, and many of us are going to experience that in our personal lives. You want to hear this part, right? So, yeah, 2024. This year, many of us will be reunited and experience the fruition of like generations long epic love stories. You might come together with someone this year. You might meet someone who you've been developing a spiritual relationship with for a long time, or the current relationship relationships you're in will experience like a major upgrade. You might fall in love or back in love really hard. And it can be like a human to human thing, but it can also be a love story that manifests through, you and your work, you and your medicine. It might be between you and a part of the earth, a part of the land. And some people will be going through breakups this year of any kind, because you will be choosing a greater love that is like presenting itself to you and coming into your life. Uh, and in some ways that will mean other relationships have to end. Some people will be moving, right? Like to a different city, a different continent, even based on that love story. Like it might be between you and another part of the land, and you have to go. So, yeah, because ultimately this love story is about like these ancient primordial ancestors that live through us and move through us. Like we say, water and fire, grief and rage, love and advocacy. And really, what 2024 is asking us is like, what love would you die for and rebirth for again and again? What love would you live for? You know, what kind of love makes you live? And in advocacy, it's like, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? Like, what would you advocate for, even if everyone around you said it wasn't important? That's the kind of advocacy we need this year. And that's the love story that's coming into fruition this year. Um, and so many of us are going to experience this. And this kind of love and partnership has the power to transform all of our previous grief stories, injustice stories, our loss stories. We are going to have a completely new perspective on the things that have hurt us. It's going to change so much. Woo! And it's this kind of love and partnership that gives us strength to create some of the most revolutionary and effective pathways toward freedom, collective freedom, and thriving, moving forward as a collective. This is the kind of love we need to guide us, and it will be our leader for a long time. Okay, so all this together, we got the left and the right, and then we got the north and the south, east and west, north and the south, and all of this together creates an alchemy that, boom, takes us to the center of the altar. And I've already kind of said it about what makes you want to live, because that is what is really created in the center of our altar is, um, oh, I don't have that one on my phone. Okay, sorry. It's your aliveness. Okay, so the center of the altar is alive and aliveness. And this is a relationship between a giant promise we made to our ancestors about why we are here in this time and space and history, her story, them story, and how we will live every day. A giant promise and the everyday small things that connect those two things. And in the center, we have a lot of things. We have our inner protagonist and our inner antagonist. And so we have the reason that we're here and how we want to live every day and the challenge that's before us. So that's what is being held in the center of the altar is our aliveness. Now, so we have north, south, east, west, and the center. So we have this altar here, but there's an anchoring of that altar that is happening as well. And that photo I do have. So we have an anchoring here between the northeast and the southwest right now. And so this goes back to the meditation that we did at the beginning, right? So we connected with our true name in the core of the earth, and we connected to our true name in our North Star. And the thing is, there's a longer meditation that I have with that, where we also connect with the sound and the frequency of our true names in the earth and in the sky. And when we connect with that, for me, what that opened up was the sound, the frequency of my North Star was just this wonder. And the sound in the core of the earth was this like endless longevity. So this is the anchoring that we have. Um, yeah, this is the anchoring that we have that's holding this entire um, altar. Yay. Thanks for the comments. um, and it really speaks to the power of what happens when we attune to this combination of of our true name and the true sound of our voice, and when we harness that. But see, the thing is that right now, you saw I put that connection between the Northeast and the Southwest because that's the same route that I traveled um, on October 7th, right? So I traveled that northeast to southwest between October 7th and October 14th, which was the last eclipse. And I'm putting it in this angle right now, because in April of 2024, we will have another eclipse that is traveling that exact line over Turtle Island. And this is a really big event, this eclipse in April. It will be moving directly over the southwest to the northeast. Um, and it will be almost like directly over where I'm at right now in Takaranto. So this eclipse that is traveling this ley line, it's going to clear some things out of the way. And what that is going to allow us to do as a collective is this diagonal is going to move directly above us and below us, north south. So that moment in time is going to contain a huge realignment in our lives. And once that eclipse clears, it's just going to gently realign like that. We don't even have to put any effort into it. It's just going to happen. And then, our true names and our true voice will be directly above us and below us. And that readjustment will help us to be exactly how and where we need to be for this love story to come into fruition. Okay. Lastly, let's talk about this 422. Again, if you want the full kind of frequency of 422, I would listen to both those two episodes that I'll link below. But here's one piece of the prophecy that Esta said while we were in Pangia. Every 4 years and 22 days, a miracle occurs. It takes 22 days to tell a story that takes place over 4 days. The 22nd day of the 4th month is when we begin. 22 days after the 4th month is when we meet again. And the year that spells 422 backwards is a miracle that reminds us of one forevermore. Rihanna, hello. Okay, prophecies. These are fun because they're codes, right? They're riddles. Like, what the heck does any of that mean? So, usually prophecies, they have several layers of meaning that unfold throughout time, right? And how the prophecy manifests can shift depending on the circumstances around it. So, I'm not going to unpack the whole thing here, but I do want to look at this last sentence. The year that spells 422 backwards is a miracle that reminds us of one forevermore. It's backwards on my screen, but we're in that year. 422 spells 2024 backwards. We are set up to experience a miracle this year. We are connecting to a time that Pangia in the multiverse, where she lived in genuine peace, justice, and balance. And this is speaking to the fact that, like, if you're paying attention to what's going on with climate change and what, some elders that I've heard like are saying about how bad it could get in 2 years' time. But this prophecy is saying that we can make a miracle this year. We can. If we live by these planetary priorities, if we help the earth in her healing as she helps us with ours, we can do the impossible. We can turn the beat around. And this year can be that kind of miracle. Now, a lot of people are doing justice work, right? Including climate justice work in all sorts of realms. And all of it is important. And we can't deny how important the realm of energetic healing is, and how we can contribute to this as artists, healers, writers, and storytellers. The earth wants us to understand that none of this activist work can be fully successful without us, right? Without a group of us who are resonating and becoming this freedom that the earth needs and resonating with her frequency as she heals and invests in these priorities. If we do that, the more and more we do that, we can make major moves to de-escalate a lot of violence this year. But hold on, because if we look at, again, this prophecy, the year that spells 422 backwards, in a way it's 2024, but more accurately, it's 2204, because there's a space between the 4 and the 2, right? So it's 2204. And so, okay, this prophecy is also about a miracle that's happening in 2204. And when I tune into, like, what is that year communicating with me? So I look into it, and that year Pluto will be moving into Virgo. And what I feel is complete peace on earth. Virgo is the sign that is at peace with themselves. And then I'm like, okay, wait, how many years between now and 2020, 2204? What is that? 180. 180-degree turn. 180-degree turn. You can't make this shit up. It's saying that, like, in this year, in 2024, we are profoundly connected to real peace back then in Pangia and also 180 years from now. Real peace, end to genocide everywhere. And if you look at how deep genocide is, like how old it is, how deep it goes, on that multiverse level, it is eras and eras and eras old. But we're saying in just 180 years, it's going to be entirely gone from this planet energetically. And we will be restored back to who we really are. That is unprecedented. That's such a short period of time, in comparison to how old it is. But the earth is like, we could make a miracle like that. We really could. In just 180 years, we could go to complete restoration. And in a way where we don't have to go through eras and eras of ruin, planetary ruin, in order to grow something new. That's a miracle, and I believe that we will see, right? Mind blowing. we will see a free Palestine in our lifetime. We will see full scale abolition in our lifetime. We will make real tangible pathways of living in freedom that doesn't have to equal endless fighting. And we make a huge 180-degree turn in that direction this year. So let's welcome the gratitude and enormity of this like beautiful, incredible prophecy. Um, and if it feels overwhelming, it doesn't have to be. Um, Let it instead like be the beauty and the success that holds you with a great deal of spaciousness and strength as you focus on the small things every day. Those questions, right? What do you need to restore in yourself? What and how do you need to recover? How will you root down into something deeper this year and long lasting? How will you open up to the love stories that are coming into fruition? This is about your aliveness today that is available to you. It should make you weep for joy that the full expression of your aliveness and how in love we are with the universe that has been suppressed for so long, that gets to live now. We get to live the life we came here for now. And how will you live today knowing that that is true? So, this is our altar, the altar of strength for 2024. And I wish that I had a image to show you with the whole altar that, would not be backwards here. I just like channeled all of this, this really just came together in the last couple days. So have I don't have that other than just like my mad scientist, my mad scientist stuff right here. But maybe I'll make one. Maybe someone will help me make one. But yeah, so and this altar, it became clear to me that this is also um the altar of strength that will be guiding and act as the foundation of the ancestor apprenticeship that I'm hosting in February, March. Um So, yeah, in this container, I offer my love and my advocacy, for what I really care about and what I believe in, and holding a space for you to connect to those things too in a way that, feeds your creativity and your daily life, as well as those like big projects and dreams, the life that you live as a wonder child, an earth steward, a community space holder, and every amazing thing that you do. So yeah, to any and everyone watching this, if you know that you need to do this, if you know that you need to live this way and you want support and you want to do it in a container with me, consider joining the apprenticeship. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be inspiring. There's some maybe juicy love stories that I will be sharing through writing, just saying. And we will, dive into painful and deep subject matter when we need to, because that's the state of the world that we're living in right now. And we'll do it in a really respectful, with a great deal of respect and love and honoring of the truth. So, yeah, that's what I have today. Um, I can't wait to share this with you. And yeah, any questions there in the comments? Thank you for being here. All right. Last, I just want to, as I'm hosting this apprenticeship, I just want to just give gratitude to where that medicine comes from. You know, I I am really in love with what I am creating and what I will be sharing in this space and, like, in transmissions like this because, it's so fabulous because of who and where it comes from. Like, these are my ancestors that speak to me, and they are literal gems, and so I love you, and thank you so much for, you know, sharing yourself with me and, trusting me as a voice today on this earth. And I extend the same gratitude and thanks to you for everyone who is listening and who will be listening later. Thank you so much. Oh, Swampy, thank you. Rihanna, thank you. Oh, it's oh, 5 oh, we finished in my time, 5:22. Oh, and it's 4:22 for you? Yay! How perfect is that? How perfect is that? We ended on 4:22. All right. Thank you, thank you. As we are ending this transmission, I invite everybody listening to, as we close, you can just imagine a cord um, that you're removing from this transmission and bringing that energy back into your body and bringing all your energy back here so that when we close, you are fully in your sovereign life path and going about everything that you have to do in your day and not, have energetic tendrils sticking to you from this transmission. And so that what we received today can be integrated and, can continue percolating in whatever ways it will. Thank you again. Love to see you guys. Hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye. 4:20. I can't believe we ended at 4:22, an hour behind. That's just wild.